Hello everyone, I'm Hayden and today I'll be talking about the BUCS program here at UBC. In particular, I'll be giving you some behind the scenes statistics as well as doing some comparison between the BUCS program as well as BCOM and the CS program. And finally, we'll be discussing why you should join the BUCS program instead of these other great programs here at UBC. So if that sounds interesting to you, be sure to stick around all the way until the end. So first things first, let's make sure you actually understand what we're talking about. What is BUCS exactly? Well, BUCS is short for Combined Major in Business and Computer Science. It is a program offered in collaboration between the UBC Sauder School of Business as well as the Computer Science Department at UBC. I feel like a lot of people, when they first hear about BUCS, they think it is a double major program and think it'll be very tough. Well, firstly, it is not a double major program. It is a combined major. You only get one degree, and that's the Bachelor of Commerce degree. And it is also not a CS minor, as you actually take a lot more CS courses than a CS minor. And we'll be talking about more about the specific course details in the later section. And if that's still too confusing for you, then you can just think of it like this. It is basically just a Bachelor of Commerce program, but all of your electives will be computer science courses. Alright, with that out of the way, let's actually talk about some statistics about the BUCS program. Now, I actually got these statistics from Sauder themselves, so you can rest assured that these are pretty accurate numbers. Now, the past 3 years, there have been around 200 applicants applying to the BUCS program, and those range from first years all the way to third years, and around 110 of them get in every year. And just some quick maths there, that is around 55% acceptance rate for the BUCS program. Now, please note that you do need to get into Sauder, UBC Sauder School of Business, before you actually get to apply to the BUCS program. Another statistic that we have about the BUCS program is the gender ratio. Now, the most recent data about this is from 2023, so it's a little out of date. But back in 2023, the gender ratio was 51-49%, with 51% being guys. So that's pretty balanced, especially with a program with CS in the name. With the CS program, that is definitely significantly more skewed towards the guys. And finally, the international students ratio is around 25%. So there's around 1/4 the students who are international students. So that's all the statistics I have for you today. So let's move on to the program differences between regular BCOM, that's the Bachelor of Commerce, and specifically the BUCS program. For normal BCOM students, for the first 2 years, they actually all take the same courses. And in the summer between second year and third year, they will have to declare a specialization, for example, like finance or accounting. And then in third and fourth year, they'll be taking a couple of the compulsory courses as well as their specialization specific courses. In addition, they will take 13 to 15 electives depending on their specialization. Those could be other random commerce courses as well as just general UBC courses. Maybe they love to take forestry or family studies or some random language courses. Those are all available as electives. So that's a lot of flexibility on the elective side for normal BCOM students. Unfortunately, this is one of the ways where BUCS lose out slightly in the sense that it has less electives for you to choose. Now, this is really just because, as I said previously, BUCS is a program where all the electives are just CS courses, right? So you do lose that little bit of freedom there, but at the same time, a lot of BUCS students actually just straight up use their electives for CS anyways. So for BUCS students, they usually get 4 electives for CS courses where they can pick any CS courses they want to take, as well as 2 true electives where they can pick any elective they want, where they can take a family study course or a Japanese course or whatever. And unlike normal BCOM students where they declare their specialization in between second and third year, BUCS students, you can actually declare as early as first year. Right when you get into UBC, you can already declare yourself as a BUCS student if you get into the program. So that actually takes a lot of weight out of your shoulders because then you don't really need to do exceptionally well in first and second year in order to get into the program that you desire. I'll be talking about how big of a difference this makes later on in the video in the benefits of the BUCS program thing, but genuinely that actually makes a huge difference to how stressful you find courses. Now, going back to the comparison really quickly, the BCOM program has 122 credits. Meanwhile, for the BUCS program, it is 128 to 129 depending on what courses you take. Now, that is a 6 to 7 credit difference, but realistically, you're actually not taking more courses. It's just the fact that the courses that you do take are usually a little higher on the credit count because all the commerce courses are just 3 credits. But for the first and second year CS courses, they are all 4 credits. And as a result, that kind of skewed the number up a little bit. But realistically, you're still taking the same amount of courses. So that's a comparison between BCOM and BUCS. But what about the CS side, right? A lot of people I know actually originally intended to go into CS, like myself actually, and decided to pivot into BUCS instead right before applying to UBC. And why? Because realistically, BUCS is just a better CS program. Let's look at some comparisons. People sometimes think that BUCS students, they don't take that many CS courses. Well, is that actually true? Now let's actually look at the numbers. For BUCS students, the mandatory amount of CS courses that you need to take is 12 courses. And you can take 14 or even more if you take your true electives as well as just additional courses on top of that for CS. Whereas for the CS program, there's 14 mandatory computer science courses, and they can take a lot more if they want to spend their electives on it as well. However, since they already have so many CS courses that are mandatory, usually people do not spend their electives on just more CS courses. And so in reality, if you're looking into CS and you're worried that BUCS will actually make you learn less, that isn't really that true in my opinion. If you just look at the peer numbers, you basically take the same amount of CS courses as a normal CS student. And if you really want to, you can just take additional courses on top of your electives. You get the same priorities for CS courses as normal CS students. So there isn't anything specific actually blocking you from taking as many CS courses as a normal CS student. Now let's actually talk through some of the benefits of why the BUCS program is so much better than the CS program. The first reason is the fact that once you get into the BUCS program, there is no need to beat the exceptionally high threshold for CS. In case you don't know, in order to actually get into CS at UBC, in first year, you actually need to be in general sciences, and then afterwards, after first year, depending on your first year GPA, if you do well enough, then you can get into CS. And the grade cutoff for CS is around 84% for domestic students, slightly higher for international students. And if that sounds like high, that is very high, especially for first year at UBC, where you're just trying to adjust to a new environment. You're not sure about everything. And quite frankly, the difficulty does go up a notch from high school for sure. And throughout first year, you will have the stress of knowing that every single grade matters, because if you don't make that cutoff, then you'll be studying, I don't know, microbiology or something. So that definitely puts a lot of stress on prospective CS students. And realistically, personally at least, I did not want that stress for myself. I remember vividly that I was looking into getting into CS, and then I heard about the fact that you need to do general sciences and then do well in first year in order to get into CS. And then I was really worried, right? What if I don't get in? I don't want to be stranded in sciences studying something I don't want to study. And then I was talking to my academic counselor back in high school, and she actually told me about the BUCS program. And the good thing about BUCS, especially for first year admissions, is that you get to get in with your high school grades. Since you already got into UBC and specifically Sauder, which is one of the most competitive faculties, you probably have pretty good high school grades anyways. And realistically, all you need to do in addition to your grades is just show your passion for CS in your application letter. And in addition, there's also the fact that business courses are just a lot more useful in the workplace compared to a random science course that you have to take in addition to your CS courses. When you really think about it, you're not going to use a random chemistry equation in your workplace unless you're working as like a chemist or something. But you would be using your presentation skills when you have to present an idea to your boss, or when you need to use your networking skills at your company's annual dinner. And being in Sauder, that's the business faculty, really just helps students be more social and, just in general get a lot more life skills compared to a science student, which unfortunately, due to the workload of being in science, you're going to spend a lot more time just studying and not getting the full university experience. And finally, I just want to talk about how attractive the BUCS program is to employers. Think about this, right? When they're looking at a mountain of application in a sea of 1,000 1,000 other CS applicants, there's you with a BUCS program, right? With the business side, where you can actually communicate properly. Bro, can you think about that? Is a CS kid that can actually properly socialize and communicate their ideas? That's unheard of. And within the BUCS program, there have been a lot of alumni that have successfully landed internships and full-time positions at big companies. Your Googles, your Metas, your Amazons, even Jane Street for your fintech people. And the roles that people generally land are either software engineers or product managers, which are the two big categories of careers that people generally go to for BUCS students. Obviously, there are others as well, your technical analysts, your business analyst. Some people actually even go into entrepreneurship, right? With the business mindset as well as the technical skills to build things. Entrepreneurship is a totally viable option as well in BUCS. And that's basically all I have for you about the BUCS program today. I hope you found this video useful, and if you have any other questions about the BUCS program, be sure to leave it in the comments below. I'll be happy to give you even more information or answer any specific questions that you may have. And if you don't have any questions for me, then sounds good. Hopefully you found this video useful anyways. Thank you for watching all the way until the end, and I'll see you in the next video.